Anyway, he takes some of the money made from 38 billion views and plows it back into doing things like, this year, partnering with a group of doctors to provide cataract surgery for 1,000 blind people that restored their eyesight. Cool, huh? Wrong. He filmed their overjoyed reactions, which to many made him a performative altruist. A Washington Post reporter tweeted, "What truly needs curing is society's view of disabled people," and BuzzFeed agreed. Back in the 90s, Michael Jordan famously said he stayed out of politics because, quote, "Republicans buy sneakers too." And then Kanye said, "And don't forget Nazis." But the days when someone could say that and keep their opinions to themselves, those days are gone. Big Brother says that having no opinion is not an option anymore. You must participate in this online circle, or you will be seen as an insensitive who's single-handedly obstructing much-needed progress in the world.
Bill Maher has come to the defense of Mr. Beast as so-called woke media suddenly turns its attention on him. The philanthropist, widely known for his large-scale charitable work, is now being criticized for the very act of giving. As we've seen before, in certain activist circles, good deeds only seem to count if they're done by the right people. Maher calls out the hypocrisy for what it is and dismantles it piece by piece. Let's break it down.
Well, here in the season of giving, can we at least agree that giving is good? I bring this up because one of the more mind-blowing stories of this year was about the internet celebrity Mr. Beast and how he was always getting raked over the coals for a series of charitable endeavors. Now, if you don't know, Mr. Beast is the most successful YouTuber ever with over 38 billion views. Feel old now? Anyway, he takes some of the money made from 38 billion views and plows it back into doing things like, this year, partnering with a group of doctors to provide cataract surgery for 1,000 blind people that restored their eyesight. Cool, huh? Wrong. He filmed their overjoyed reactions, which to many made him a performative altruist. A Washington Post reporter tweeted, "What truly needs curing is society's view of disabled people," and BuzzFeed agreed.
Woke media outlets were quick to dismiss Mr. Beast's act of kindness as performative altruism, arguing that he only helped people because he filmed it. But that raises an obvious question they never seem willing to answer. Why does that matter? Whether the motivation is pure, mixed, or even self-interested, the real-world outcome doesn't vanish. People who were blind can now see. Lives were meaningfully changed in ways no think piece, tweet, or moral lecture could ever replicate. This fixation on policing intent instead of acknowledging results reveals a deeper flaw in modern commentary. Helping others is only deemed acceptable if it arrives wrapped in the right ideology and approved emotions. The moment generosity is documented, it declared invalid. That logic is deeply flawed. Good deeds don't lose their value because they're visible. If anything, visibility often encourages others to do the same. When an action restores sight, dignity, and independence, attacking the person who made it possible says far more about the critics than it ever does about Mr. Beast.
And what truly needs curing is blindness. Here's how I know this. The newly sighted people are cheering, not booing, because Mr. Beast, whoever the that is, just cured them and you didn't do shit. You know the expression, shit or go blind? You didn't either.
And at the heart of the issue with outlets like BuzzFeed and parts of the online media ecosystem. Many of them rarely engage in meaningful, real-world charity. Yet the moment someone else does, they rush to tear it down. You don't see them organizing fundraisers for life-saving medical care in underserved communities or raising money to drill wells so people can access clean water. Real work is difficult. Real charity demands time, resources, and risk. Condemning it from behind a keyboard is easy. So when Mr. Beast steps in and produces clear, life-changing results, they can't bring themselves to applaud it. Instead, they try to delegitimize it. That's why they reach for labels like performative altruism. It isn't about protecting the vulnerable, it's about preserving their sense of moral superiority. Because acknowledging that his actions were genuinely good would force them to confront their own lack of action, and that a conversation they're determined to avoid.
Well, here in the season of giving, can we at least agree that giving is good? I bring this up because one of the more mind-blowing stories of this year was about the internet celebrity Mr. Beast and how he was always getting raked over the coals for a series of charitable endeavors. Now, if you don't know, Mr. Beast is the most successful YouTuber ever with over 38 billion views. Feel old now? Anyway, he takes some of the money made from 38 billion views and plows it back into doing things like, this year, partnering with a group of doctors to provide cataract surgery for 1,000 blind people that restored their eyesight. Cool, huh? Wrong.
Maher is right, and at a point that keeps proving itself. In some activist circles, emotion is elevated above facts. Logic gets brushed aside, science is selectively acknowledged, and grounded philosophy is replaced with slogans and manufactured outrage. Everything turns into a performance of feelings rather than a serious engagement with reality. What matters most isn't whether something actually works or helps people, but whether it sounds morally superior in the moment. Endless rants, public displays of outrage, and emotional venting are treated as meaningful action. That's the contradiction at the center of it all. Why attack people who are clearly helping the underprivileged and marginalized in tangible ways? Why criticize actions that measurably improve lives instead of simply talking about them? The answer is uncomfortable. Real solutions disrupt the emotional economy these movements depend on. When someone delivers results, it exposes how hollow the noise really is. Feelings may be loud, but they don't solve problems. Action does.
In the olden days, people would watch the evening news and then, well, nothing. They went on with their lives. But today, everybody's got to share their theory on everything, whether it's trans women on the swim team or whether dwarves should play non-dwarves in the Snow White movie. Hey. But has anyone noticed that the more time everyone spends telling everyone else their political position on everything, the more we've been at each other's throats? Here's a trend I would love to see on Twitter. No opinion.
That no opinion hashtag is never going to take off, and that no accident. The platforms themselves have no incentive to support it. Their entire business model runs on engagement, and nothing fuels clicks, comments, and outrage faster than controversy. Instead of cooling the conversation, they amplify divisive issues that keep people locked in endless arguments. Conflict keeps users scrolling. Nuance doesn't. On its own, that might just be an irritating byproduct of social media. The real damage comes afterward. These debates are rarely grounded in understanding or expertise. Most participants don't actually know the facts, the history, or the real-world consequences of what they're arguing about. They're reacting to headlines, short clips, and emotionally charged narratives engineered to provoke them. The outcome is loud confidence without knowledge, opinions without substance, and platforms that profit while public discourse grows dumber, angrier, and increasingly detached from reality.
But not just Trump. We'll also argue about abortion and critical race theory and guns and prisons and schools, and this year we're fighting about Israel. But here's the thing, you're not actually legally obliged to have an opinion. Do you know why the Indians and the Pilgrims were able to sit peaceably through the first Thanksgiving? Because nobody brought up politics. Even though I'm sure the Indians had strong feelings about immigration.
That may be true, but many online activists wouldn't care at all. They see themselves as holding a monopoly on moral authority, the exclusive right to speak on any issue, and anyone who disagrees, even slightly, is instantly labeled the enemy. Debate isn't permitted. Dissent is treated as heresy. It's the same mindset now being turned on Mr. Beast, simply because he's the one doing good work in Africa, not them. His efforts must be reframed as wrong, suspicious, or exploitative. Outcomes and impact don't matter, control does. If the good doesn't come from their approved circles, then it doesn't count. Helping people becomes offensive the moment it challenges their narrative or exposes their own inaction. So instead of celebrating tangible results, they attack motives, manufacture outrage, and recast generosity as wrongdoing. In the end, it reveals a movement far more focused on policing virtue than on actually improving lives.
Back in the 90s, Michael Jordan famously said he stayed out of politics because, quote, Republicans buy sneakers too. And then Kanye said, and don't forget Nazis. But the days when someone could say that and keep their opinions to themselves, those days are gone. Big Brother says that having no opinion is not an option anymore. You must participate in this online circle, or you will be seen as an insensitive who's single-handedly obstructing much-needed progress in the world.
Exactly, and it goes beyond the woke mob itself. The social media platforms are just as invested in keeping people angry and arguing all day. Let not kid ourselves, constant conflict is what makes them popular and profitable. Their algorithms track your clicks, pauses, and reactions, then deliberately serve content designed to irritate, provoke, or outrage you. Calm agreement doesn't keep attention. Friction does. The result is an endless cycle of manufactured arguments, where people feel compelled to weigh in on every trending issue whether they understand it or not. To break that cycle, Maher offers a rare bit of common sense advice: don't take the bait. You don't need an opinion on everything. Silence isn't weakness, it's discipline. Choosing not to engage denies the algorithm its power and helps preserve your sanity along the way.
Did you post a black square? No? Well, that's why there's still racism. You see, here's what it is. The younger generations were raised wrong. So they can't stand for a minute the idea that other people have opinions different than their own. 59% of consumers now will buy a product or boycott a product based solely on the political stance a company takes. Gen Z consumers need to know if their spermicide condemns cockfighting.
Maher is right, and it an uncomfortable truth many would rather avoid. Younger users online are often conditioned to see themselves as more enlightened or morally superior, an assumption that collapses the moment someone disagrees with them. Instead of debate, they reach for dismissal. Instead of curiosity, they default to outrage. As social media, modern education, and constant validation have trained them to confuse confidence with intelligence, and agreement within their bubble with universal truth. They're told their views are progressive, cutting edge, and beyond question. So any opposing perspective feels like a personal attack rather than a challenge worth engaging. The possibility that someone else might be informed, experienced, or simply thinking differently is treated as unthinkable. That mindset doesn't create critical thinkers, it creates fragile certainty. When disagreement becomes unacceptable, learning stops. Maher's point isn't really about age, it's about arrogance. A society that convinces people they already have all the right answers guarantees they'll never ask better questions.
Disney didn't want to get into a big pissing match with Ron DeSantis about in grade school, but its employees sure did, so they had to. Now one side thinks Disney said too much, the other thinks it didn't say enough. We see this pattern over and over. We saw it with Bud Light, when they did ads with a trans influencer, and MAGA Nation thought it was a plot to use beer to turn them gay. Pride Month is now a minefield for corporations. This year, Target put up special rainbow displays which presented Christians who oppose gay marriage with an impossible choice. Either support a gay lifestyle and go to hell for it, or shop at Kohl's.
The gap between the two major political parties and the ideologies behind them keeps growing because either side is truly committed to honest engagement. Disagreement is no longer treated as a normal and healthy part of democracy, it framed as a moral failing. In particular, the left has increasingly chosen to disengage from the right altogether, opting instead to isolate, shame, and alienate anyone who steps outside approved boundaries. Even minor missteps, a poorly phrased comment, or an unpopular opinion can be enough to trigger exclusion. Dialogue gives way to labeling. Debate is replaced by cancellation. But this refusal to engage doesn't weaken opposing ideas, it entrenches them. When people are pushed out of the conversation, they don't vanish. They retreat into echo chambers where mistrust and resentment intensify. Without a willingness to talk across ideological lines, the divide will continue to widen, and any hope of finding common ground will steadily disappear.
And why did I ever need to know that Chick-fil-A is chicken that's Christian? Can't it just be chicken? This is unsustainable. It's unsustainable. To politicize everything means we're always fighting because we don't all agree and never will. And most people don't want to be forced to say anything. Kylie Jenner posted, "We stand with the people of Israel," and then deleted it, which is pretty much the opposite of standing with.
In the end, what we're seeing is a full-blown crisis of public discourse driven as much by social media and cultural conditioning as by politics itself. Outrage has replaced understanding. Emotion has displaced reason. And spectacle has taken the place of meaningful action. Figures like Mr. Beast demonstrate that real, tangible good can still be done, yet even that is attacked when it threatens narratives certain groups are determined to control. These activist circles and the platforms that amplify them thrive on conflict, not solutions. At the same time, younger generations, often convinced of their own intellectual or moral superiority, frequently lack the patience or perspective needed for constructive engagement. As a result, ideological divides widen, and people retreat deeper into echo chambers, unwilling or unable to truly listen to opposing views. The answer isn't more noise. It's restraint, reflection, and a renewed focus on action over argument. Real progress comes from helping others, engaging thoughtfully, and refusing to play along with performative outrage. Genuine change requires courage, clarity, and above all, focus. And with that, we've reached the end of today's video. If you found it valuable, be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content like this.